So, story time of when my son saw a mimic of me in my house. So, this actually happened around last Halloween. I went out with a friend on a Friday night to a Halloween party. I left the house around 10:30. They picked me up right outside my front door. So, like, they texted, "Hey, I'm here." I went out my front door and I left. That same night, my son was at homecoming. I texted him before I left to let him know that I was going to be leaving soon and seeing where he was at. And he was like, "I'm on my way home." I was trying to wait for him to get home so he could tell me about homecoming, but the timing just didn't work out. But I was watching his location on my phone and I saw he was close by. So I went ahead and left. Maybe 20 minutes later, I texted him just to make sure he was home. And he said, I just got home. I'm in my room. So I went on about my evening and that's it. I came home. The next morning, I noticed that his bike wasn't outside where it usually is. So I asked him, "Hey, where's your bike?" And he says, "I told you last night that I got a flat tire, so I had to leave it at my friend's house and I just walked the rest of the way home." And this was him coming home last night from homecoming because his high school is really close by. So he just walked home afterwards. And I was like, "No, you didn't tell me that. I don't remember that at all." And he's like, "Yeah, I told you literally last night. Like, as soon as I walked in the door, that was the first thing I said when you were sitting on the couch was, I got a flat tire. I had to leave my bike at my friend's house, but I walked the way home." At the time, I didn't really think much of it. I just kind of went on about my day because I was like, okay, that's weird. But then I started thinking about it more and I'm like, he said I was sitting on the couch. He said that that's the first thing he said when he walked in the door was that he told me what happened to his bike. But by the time he had gotten home, I was already gone for the evening. I didn't see him that night before I left. So I asked him about it later. I reiterated, "What time did you get home?" And he said, "I got home about 11 o'clock. And I said, "Okay, I left the house at 10:30. So I was not home when you got home." And he said, "Yes, you were. You were sitting on the couch." And I said, "Okay, well, what was I doing on the couch?" And he said that I was staring straight ahead at a blank TV, a TV that was turned off, and I looked very sad, and I wasn't moving, and I didn't speak to him when he walked in the door. Which he said he thought was strange, but he thought maybe I had just had a bad day, got some bad news, or like wasn't feeling good or something. But he said he walked in and said, "Hey, Mom." And as he was like walking past me, he just kind of quickly said, "My bike got a flat tire. I had to leave it at my friend's house and I just walked home." And he went on about his business. He went to the bathroom. He went into his bedroom to play his video games, which is typically what he does as a 15-year-old teenager wrapped in his own world. So I reiterated to him, I was not home. And I checked my text messages and I checked the time of the message that my friend who picked me up that night, what time they texted me that they were outside. And it was at 10:34. And I had walked out the door immediately after that. And I remember that was when I texted him asking him if he was almost home. And he said that, yeah, he was close. And I was watching his location. I saw that he was in the neighborhood. So I went ahead and left. I thought I was going to like drive past him as I was leaving because that's how close he was, but I didn't see him. So I was like, "No, I have proof that I left the house at 10:30. You walked in the house at 11 o'clock. I never saw you that night. I didn't see you till the next morning because I didn't get home until like 2 a.m. And so he said that I was sitting on the couch. I was wearing a long leopard print dress with like a black sweater over it. And I was just dead staring at the TV that was turned off with my hands in my lap. And I just looked really sad. And then he said I didn't speak to him or acknowledge him when he came in. And I was like, "Didn't you think that was weird?" And he said, "Yeah, but again, I assumed like maybe you just had a really bad night. You were just really sad." And he said he went into his bedroom. And he said it did kind of freak him out and made him a little uncomfortable. But he went into the bedroom, he shut the door, and he said that he heard me go into my bedroom and make noise in the closet because our bedrooms are next to each other. So he could hear the noise of the door of me like rummaging around in the closet. He said he heard me go into the bathroom. And then he said he heard me like open the front door to leave. And he came out of his bedroom to be like, "Bye, Mom," to tell me bye and like to see that I was leaving. And he said that he watched me, or no, he saw me go out the door and shut the door behind me. So he came to the door, he opened the door and to say, "Bye, Mom." And he said he watched me walk down the street. And he said I didn't acknowledge him. I didn't turn around. I didn't speak to him. He just only saw the back of me, but he watched me walk down the street until he couldn't see me anymore. And, I was like, well, I didn't do that. Like, first of all, I was wearing something completely different. And my friend picked me up from my front door. So Yeah, he saw a mimic of me, and that's he said that that's not the first time that's happened to him. That it has happened to him more than once. And it's also happened with his brother and his dad before when he was home alone, but he heard or saw them. He said it's happened with my best friend when she used to live with us, and she and I were gone out together, and he saw her like walk across the hallway. He's said multiple times when I've been gone out of the house that he's heard me call out to him, or, you know, say something, or he's heard what sounded like me rummaging around in the room, and he thought that I was home early, but then he comes out to look for me and I'm not there. So yeah, it's really interesting because I'm a very spiritual person, and I do a lot to put protection over my home and over my children. So it's interesting that this entity chose to mimic me, of all people. But yeah, it still freaks me out. And I regularly cleanse my house. I regularly rebuke and banish any negative or dark energies or entities. And I pray a lot. So yeah, that's my story time about the time my son saw a mimic of me. And till this day, I will not wear that leopard print dress, because there's some theories that people have told me that maybe he saw me in a different like multiverse, in a different timeline. And in that timeline, I was really sad and something was wrong with me. And so I don't want to wear the leopard dress, just in case I pull myself into whatever that timeline was that I was unhappy and sad. But yeah, that's my story. Have a good day. Bye.
Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. This story is going to be inspired by a movie that's out called Obsession or Obsessed or something like that. I haven't seen the movie, but someone explained it to me, or explained the premise to me, and it brought this back to my remembrance, and I figured I'd share it with you. 21 years of law enforcement experience. I've seen a lot of strange things, things I can't explain, and some things that teeter probably on the paranormal. With that said, it's story time. All right, check it out. When I first came on the department years ago, my first couple of years on, I stopped a young man on a traffic stop. He had tons of contraband in the car, so he was going to be taken into custody. For context, this young man got out of the car. He's about 6'4", 6'5", about 320 pounds. For, you know, as he compared to me, I'm 6'3", about 220. He towered over me, very large man, but he wasn't very attractive. Not hating, is just a matter of fact. And it has relevance to the story. He kind of would look like Biz Marquis. And for the young people who may watch this channel, Biz Marquis, his shtick was, he was not a very attractive guy, but he went with it. Okay, rest in peace to Biz Marquis. But anyway, so this kid looked like Biz Marquis, a very large man. I didn't want to tow his car, so he said, "Hey, it's my girlfriend's car. Can I call her?" I said, "Absolutely." Girlfriend shows up. She's absolutely stunning, beautiful. Young lady got out of the car. She's about 5'3", maybe 5'4", maybe 115 pounds. Just beautiful, right? But one thing, her eyes were very large, and she had this almost like robotic way about her. Sometimes she was talking to me, and sometimes it looked like she was talking through me. She was looking at me, sometimes she was looking through me. It was crazy. She was not very happy about the stop. You know, I don't want to get into the details, but she took her car, she left. Fast forward to the trial. We had to go to trial. Every time I would look behind me, she was there. Every time I looked behind me, I would notice that she's staring at me. She's staring a hole in the back of my head. So when we make eye contact, it was those creepy eyes. I'm just trying to tell you, okay? All right, fast forward again, about 3 years after this encounter, I get a call, a domestic violence call. I get there, and it's dude opens the door. Big guy, right? He's beat all to hell. I mean, his eye is damn near swollen shut. He's got scars and bruises, and it looked like the claws across his chest that ripped his shirt open. It didn't look like fingernails. It looked like blades had scratched his shirt. And I said, "Man, what happened?" Because he remembered me. He said, "Man, it's Shorty. You remember Shorty that was with me? It was Shorty." And I was like, "That little woman did this to you?" I said, "Did she have help? Anything?" He's like, "No, it's just her. Man, she manifests into something when she gets really, really out there, man. I'm trying to tell you." As I'm talking to him, I'm assessing the situation. I'm looking at his apartment. It looked like a gang of people came in and ransacked the place. And as I'm talking to him, I'm looking up on the ceiling, and I'm seeing like little small handprints and footprints on the ceiling, like here and there, and then up toward the ceiling. And I said, "Man, what is all that about?" He said, "Man, that's Shorty. I'm trying to tell you, man." And then he makes this statement. He says, I wish I never would have had my mom put that root on her. And at the time, I didn't know what a root was. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, like a spell. The backstory is, I guess they were working together at a fast food restaurant years ago, and when they were younger, and he was enamored with her, but he kind of felt like she would never go for him because he looked like Biz Markie, right? So he brought her home and introduced him to his mother, who I guess is into some kind of maybe dark magic, black magic, or what have you, and he had his mother put some kind of spell on her, and I guess it worked. Because according to him, he said the only time she gets super humanly violent with him is when he talks about leaving her. All right, so we said we have to prosecute on your behalf whether you want to or not because you have visible signs of injury. So took out a warrant, we had to go to her house. We went to her house, and her parents gave this story, said that, I don't know what happened, said about 5 years ago she came home and she wasn't herself. Said every morning at about 3 o'clock a.m., she gets up and she just stares out the window. Or sometimes she'd just get up and go for a walk with no shoes on, and they would find her miles down the road. So they said it was very, very strange. They think she was having a break with reality, or maybe a mental health crisis. Now, armed with what I was just told, I didn't know if it was my place to say anything, but, we don't know, right? So guess who shows up while I'm talking to the mom? The young lady does, and she remembers me. Those eyes, right? I said, I'm sorry, you got a warrant for domestic violence. I'm going to take you with me. So put it in custody, put her in the back of my car, and I'm talking to her. I'm getting some information. Every time I look up, I'm met with those eyes, right? Well, one time I looked up, and she said something that was kind of really low and unintelligible. And I looked at it, and I said, what? And I looked up, and she smiled. And you know how a normal smile, your mouth only spreads so far? Well, hers spread a little bit further than what it was supposed to. Freaked me out. I said, nah, don't even worry about it. I said, we out of here. I'm gonna take you downtown and get you up out my car. That night, I had the weirdest dream, and it felt like evil was in the room with me. And I had to pray in the name of Jesus. I really had to get on my knees and pray. So it was just a very creepy experience. Again, I've had several. And this is just one of them. So again, be careful what you wish for. There are forces out there that you might not understand. Stay prayed up. If you want more stories like this, let me know in the comments section. Until the next one, I'm B Boat, and you've been briefed.
I used to see ghosts as a little kid, and last night when I was laying in the bed, I remembered why I hate sleeping with my door open. Let me tell you the things that I saw when my mother had a no locked doors, no closed doors policy, and we lived in a very haunted house. As a kid, I shared a room with my sister, and I will never forget the night that I saw bodies form in the dark and walk around my house. Let's talk about it. It was family movie night, and we didn't do this often. My mom really only did this when she had niggas coming over and she was trying to impress these niggas. They weren't niggas, actually. They were Hispanic men, and she was really fucking with them. That's besides the point. My mom wanted to get it on, so she sent me, the youngest, upstairs, and she told my sisters, y'all have a couple of more minutes and then y'all could go to sleep. My sisters never came up to bed. Okay, it was just me. So I went upstairs and I was like, okay, I went to brush my teeth, and as I was brushing my teeth, I was hearing footsteps in the hallway and also like in the room, brother's room, and I would always hear spirits in my brother's room at this time. If you're new to my page, you probably don't know that my mother was a medium and that my family practices heavily in our ancestral spirituality. So seeing spirits was nothing new to me. However, I ain't never seen no shit like this. Turned off the water, I was hearing a lot of shuffling. Like people who weren't walking normally, they were like kind of dragging their feet. And I was like, what the heck is that? So I remember I laid down in my bed, and because my sister's bed was first, I knew nobody could get me first, but she wasn't there. So they were going to get me, whoever they were, they were going to get me. So I laid down, and I was so scared to like have my back, to the door. So I decided to try and cuddle up, try to go to bed with my face facing the open door, which was pitch black darkness. And so as I'm laying down and my eyes are closed, I'm really scared. I did not like to sleep by myself. I want to preface this by saying I was only like 7. I was like probably 7 years old at this time. So as I was laying down, I heard a shh in my pillow. And at first it was really quiet, that I thought I was dreaming this. It was like a shh, shh, shh. And the last one woke me up. And when it woke me up, I just opened my eyes. I opened my eyes and I looked around my room and there was nobody in my room. And I thought that it was kind of like my mother telling my siblings to be quiet, like, shush, be quiet, shh. And so I sat up and I listened. And I think that this is where I went wrong, because I don't think that I should have responded to what I heard, because if I didn't respond to what I heard, I don't think that any of this would have happened. Laid back down and I started hearing a tapping in my pillow, like a tapping that was getting really annoying. So I flipped my pillow and I laid my head down really hard. But when I did that, my beads hit my eye. So I kind of went like this, like that. And I opened this eye. When I opened this eye, I made direct eye contact with just pure darkness in our hallway. And as I was looking, I started to see movement. And I'm thinking, oh great, like my sisters are coming to sleep. The only thing is my sisters were kids at this time, just like I was. We were not like this tall. Oh, yeah, I'm getting scared. I kept looking. I was like, what is that? As I was looking, it started to feel like the darkness started to become really grainy. Like, you know how old movies look? And you're like, why the fuck do old films look so grainy? I kid you not, the darkness outside of my door looked hella grainy. And all of a sudden, I started to see like an arm form. And then I started to see a pair of eyes form. And then another pair of eyes. And then another pair of eyes, until it was a group of eyes. And these people start forming. They start fucking forming. And in my pillow, I am still hearing, shh, bitch. You not trick me. I was getting really fucking scared. Really, really, really fucking scared. My black ass is supposed to be asleep, so I can't leave my room. It's not that I can't leave my room because I was supposed to be asleep. I can't leave my room because that's where they're at. Who that lady over there in the chair? What fucking lady? They're right there. They're right there. And so I called out and I was just all like, Mom! 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 Nobody was answering. People kept coming closer. They kept coming closer until I started to see their hands grasp my wall and grasp the door. And it was so scary. There were hands all over my door, until my sister turns on the line. She's like, Nina, are you okay? From my sister's perspective, this is so crazy. She always says, you were sleeping when I came into the room. That was not a dream. I visibly saw her come into the room. I saw these people and I saw these characters. That was one of the scariest things I had ever seen in my life. And my sister told me, she was like, I didn't hear you scream or anything. I just wanted to come check on you because that was such a big girl move. Like, you went to sleep by yourself. If I was 7, that means my sister was like 11 turning 12. So that was crazy. I loved how like in tune me and my sisters were. We still are, but yeah, we're just not close anymore. But that was some scary stuff, and thank God for her.
Y'all ever try to throw dirt on somebody else's name only to realize that you accidentally dug your own grave? Because a follower, she emailed me her story about a heavy curse that she tried to put on an ex. And baby, the backfire on this one, it didn't just mess up her week. It almost took her completely out, y'all. And hey, toxins, welcome back to my page where I don't spill tea, I brew coffee. And not everything that I serve is gonna be safe. So this girl, we're gonna call her Dominique. And she's originally from New Orleans, y'all. And she grew up in an environment where people actually understood the mechanics of the foundational work of curses and spells and hexes and everything like that. Well, last year, she went through a very toxic breakup. And this man, he didn't just break her heart, y'all. He actively tried to ruin her reputation. He ran her credit cards up, and he left her completely stressed and shattered. And Dominique, she was consumed by pure anger, as she should. And she wanted him to feel the exact same suffocating anxiety that he was causing her. So she decided to do some messy work that she had absolutely no business touching without somebody experienced guiding her. Guess what she did, y'all? She got some dirt, a heavy anchor item of his, and she laid a sour binding down to completely lock up his finances and his peace of mind. But here's where everything failed. Dominique, she didn't verify who she was throwing work towards. She didn't even realize that his grandmother was an old school rooted woman who kept protection around that boy's bloodline. Shameful. So when Dominique threw all that anger outward, it didn't land where she expected it to. Dominique said the backfire didn't even start like dramatically or anything like that. She said it started quietly. She said the very next night, she woke up around 3 in the morning suffocating, y'all. She said it didn't feel like a bad dream either. It felt like pressure directly in the center of her chest. And she couldn't even draw a full breath. And the air in her room, she said it smelled stale. It was like heavy and wrong all at the same time. And she tried brushing it off like she was having sleep paralysis or something. But over the next week, everything started falling apart. She started getting random fraud charges. Her car problems was everything, barely sleeping. And every time she closed her eyes, she kept seeing the same dark shape standing in her doorway, waiting for her to fall asleep again. She looked exhausted. Her eyes were sunken in, and she was barely functioning. She was barely getting any sleep. And eventually, she realized something. Whatever she threw out, it wasn't landing where she wanted it anymore. And somehow, she was the only one paying for it. And by week 3, she knew that she needed some help, y'all. She swallowed her pride, and she went to an older spiritual elder. She went to somebody that was trusted and a family friend back in Louisiana who actually understood what she was dealing with. She said the second that she walked through that door, the woman didn't even say hello. She took Dominique up. She looked her up and down. She shook her head and she said, you smell like old dirt. You threw something heavy and it bit you, didn't it? It took days of cleansing work, y'all. Bitter washes and rebuilding boundaries just to get Dominique to feeling normal again. And according to her, she said the elder told her something that she still remembers. She told her that the earth doesn't care about your heartbreak. And when you send a dog to bite somebody, you better make sure they don't got a bigger fence, because that dog is coming home hungry, baby. And Dominique, she survived it, but she told me she still get nervous anytime she feel that same heaviness in a room. See, look, y'all be getting on the internet thinking revenge work is cute and trendy and funny, and I be trying to warn y'all. But if you don't know who or what you are throwing dirt towards, you may accidentally bring it right back into your home. So now tell me, have you ever seen somebody play dirty only for their life to be handed back the same exact strip to them? Shit backfired. Let me know in the comments, because I'm serving it black today, and I want y'all to drink from a clean source. And remember, the 2026 mindset is mind your own gates. I love y'all, and I'll see you in the next video.
So we was living in this house. It was a very old ass house. And when I say there was so many things going on in that house, you heard shit, you seen shit. So I remember me and my sister, every time we used to go to the bathroom, we used to always go with each other. Like at nighttime, it just was a little bit too much going on around the house and a little bit too much activity. So we were scared as hell to go to the bathroom by ourselves. So I just remember this one time, it was pitch black dark in the room, and my sister woke me up because she was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So me and my sister, we get up, we go to the bathroom. We go to the stairs, and we see somebody sitting at the bottom of the stairs. So she looking at me, I'm looking at her, and we both like, bitch, did you just see that? So I guess whatever it is, when it seen us looking at it, it got up and it ran. So me and her, we go run back to the bed, and we just like, at this point, forget it. So the next morning, we wake up, me and her, we ended up peeing on ourselves because we was not able to make it to the bathroom because we seen something sitting at the bottom of the stairs. So the day went by, my brother ended up sleeping in the bed with me. So we were like really, really little. And me and my brother, for some odd reason, we decided to go downstairs because we was hungry. So we're going down the stairs. We make it to the kitchen. Next thing you know, we see everything in the kitchen shaking. It was damn near like it was an earthquake going on. I'm talking about the refrigerator was shaking. I'm talking about shit on the shelves was flying off the shelf. And our mom had bought us these things. I don't know if y'all know what sea monkeys are. Why did everything fall off of the refrigerator and landed on the floor? Me and my brother zoomed up the stairs. We was not having it. Next morning we woke up and everything was literally on the floor. And my grandma was like, how did all this stuff get on the floor? And baby, until this day, we don't know what the hell had happened. Like, we don't know if we had a mini earthquake or some shit. But mind you, we lived in Chicago, so it couldn't have been that. But baby, I need some explanation on what did we see on the stairs. And what the hell knocked all of that stuff down on the floor in the kitchen.
Snacks in hand, the vibe is set, and once I start, don't eat too much, because you gotta stay fine. But come on, bestie is... Yes! Hi, bestie boo. I missed you so much. What you doing? You want to go get your snack, right? You want to go get your gardening essentials? Okay. So, I did upload a new compilation a few days ago, and I will upload a new one tomorrow. So, make sure you're watching my compilations and nobody else's, because they're making money off of me. If you want my story times in long form, head over to my YouTube channel and watch it there. Anyway, let's get on to the story. So, for the sake of the story, let's call this girl Lisa. So, it's summer night and Lisa was out with her friends. Late nights at the club, you get hungry and all of that. So, they stopped by a gas station after the club to get some snacks so they could eat on the way home, drunk shit. So, when they get to the gas station, right, of course, at the gas station, there's a crackhead. And usually there's always, a crackhead at the gas station. Anyway, they see the crackhead, of course, they try to keep their distance. And they go in the store, they go get their snacks and drinks or whatever that they need, and they come out. And as they come out, they see the crackhead kind of approaching them. And so they try to speed walk to get to their car. And the crackhead is like, wait! And immediately they're like, I'm so sorry, we don't have any money, we don't have any change. And the crackhead gets closer to them and says, I don't want your money, I don't want your change, I just want you to be saved. So they're looking like, what you mean? But at the same time, they're still it's crackheads, they ain't trying to get too close. And so the crackhead is like, God wants to save you, God wants to save you. And so they're like, oh, well, thank you so much, thank you for letting us know, we're gonna go. And they get in the car, and the crackhead literally gets in front of their car so they don't leave the parking spot. And he just kept repeating, God wants to save you, God wants to save you. So now they're in the car like, what the fuck do we do? They're drunk as hell. This crackhead, they don't even want to get close to him to even try to get him off. So they're like, oh my God, what's happening? And it's nighttime. There's literally nobody outside but the gas station people inside. And so they're trying to talk to him. They're like, please, sir, we understand. We believe in God. We know, we're very much saved. Please just leave us alone. We just want to go home. And he just kept repeating, God wants to save you. And when they were saying that, for some reason, he automatically turned right to Lisa and said, you need to stop what you're doing because God wants to save you. And Lisa was like, oh, huh? She didn't know what he was talking about, but she also kind of felt that, it was kind of conviction. But she's trying to play it off because she's like, he don't know what he talking about. He probably high off something, drunk off something. We drunk too. We just want to go home. At this point, they decide that staying in the car is the safest thing to do right now until this man decides to leave. So they stay in the car. One of the friends is like, bro, just run him over and go. And the other friend is like, no, we can't run him over. We are drunk right now. You want cops to be coming? And so after about 10 minutes of this happening, He looks at Lisa again and he says, God wants to save you. Stop what you're doing. And he turns around and he leaves. They all look at each other like, what the fuck? Like, what was that? Like, that was crazy. We need to go home immediately. And so they pull off, they go home. About 3 blocks from the gas station, they drive past and there is a 2 collision car accident. They are like the first witnesses to get there because both people in both cars weren't conscious. So they ended up pulling over and they called the cops. And of course, seeing that immediately sobered them up. They weren't even drunk no more. So when the cops came, they spoke to the cops and everything like that. Thank God the cops didn't know that they were drinking because, like, at this point, they're sobered up because this is, like, crazy. And especially with what just happened with the crackhead, they're like, but Lisa knew. Lisa, like, she knew. She's like, yo, I think we were just saved. I think that's why he kept saying God wants to save you. And so for the rest of the night, while all the other girls are, helping and stuff like that, Lisa was just quiet because she felt so convicted because the people around Lisa had been telling her that she has a drinking problem. And to her, she don't have a drinking problem. So that's what that was about. The crackhead telling her, you need to stop what you're doing. God wants to save you. When she felt that, she felt it. And at some point, the cause of the accident, the guy that was driving, when, the cops were pulling him out the car, he was super intoxicated because he had, kind of gained consciousness back. But you can tell, like, he was definitely drunk as fuck. So the irony that they were drunk, Lisa has like an undergoing drinking problem that she's not really paying attention to. And the drunk guy causing the accident that would have been them. And this was confirmed because after the whole thing happened, they go home or whatever, they talk about it. A few days later, they got updates about the whole situation, especially Lisa. Like, she needed updates, like she needed to know. So she found out that the moment that guy at the gas station said to her, you need to stop what you're doing, God wants to save you, and walked away, is the exact moment the accident happened. Now, when she tried to explain this to her friends, like, she tried to tell her friends, like, this was a sign. Like, that was literally God for real. Like, that was an angel talking to us. The friends wasn't trying to hear none of that. They're like, girl, it was just a damn crackhead. Like, ugh. And because of how not serious her friends was taking this, she started to realize that she needed to change her circle because those friends were the reasons why she was drinking so much. And the people that had been telling her to stop drinking as much were also telling her about those friends. They were telling her, like, I don't think those are the right people for you. And so, yeah, eventually, after that whole situation, she had to, like, stop being friends with those friends. And she did stop drinking, and life did actually get so much better. She got the message that God was sending her, and she's doing so much better in life now. And, yeah, and she just wanted to share the story. So, yeah, that's the story, y'all. Don't forget to go to my YouTube channel and watch my videos, nobody else's. Don't forget to get your ebook, and I love you, okay? Also, don't forget to tell me what you were eating, okay? All right, I love you.
Tell me, what's the creepiest experience you ever had in your life and why you still think about them?
All right, so this story takes place when I was about 10 or 11. Can't really remember, but I do know that this is in reference to my grandmother passing. My grandmother passed when I was 7 years old, right? And it had been a few years, and we were staying in this big house in Woodlawn across the street from this big church. And this particular day, I think it was summertime. It had to be summertime. Me and my sister were in the house alone. My mom, she used to work a whole lot. So I used to be big sister. I used to stay at home by myself. I was responsible, had to grow up quick, all that stuff. So boom, we're in the house, me and my sister. My sister, she used to always want to sleep in my room with me. She never wanted to sleep in her room. Never, ever, ever. But this particular morning, I got up to go fix us something to eat. And I think this is when all the paranormal stuff for me really, really got started. I had encountered things before, but this is the first time I seen an entity. Okay? So I'm gonna say I seen an angel. Now, I don't know. I hope it was an angel and not just disguised as my grandmother. So I walk out of my bedroom. My bedroom's in the front of the house. And we had we had hardwood floors, okay? So as I step out into the, it was kind of like a foyer too, so my room was like connected to the foyer. So when I step out into the foyer, I make sure the front door was locked. It was locked. We had a burglar bar and we had a big door. But as I'm walking, so I turn from the door and I'm walking to the kitchen. Now, from the foyer is our living room. It was a big living room and it was a lot of space. And you can see straight to the kitchen. So the kitchen had 2 closets that was like right there on the entrance. So it was one here, one here. I'm walking towards the kitchen. I hear footsteps behind me, right? And I kind of get scared, so I run to the kitchen and I grab a knife. When I was smaller, I used to always be super, I don't know, like protective. I was always kind of frightened because of the circumstances at home, so I didn't know what was going on. But I knew when nobody finna get me and when nobody finna get my sister, like I wasn't going at all. So so when I get in the kitchen and grab the knife, I turn around and look back towards my room. And tell me why I see, okay, if you've ever seen pictures of fallen angels, you know, they have black wings, right? But I seen like a black dress, a black gown or something, trailing the floor like it was going around the corner. I didn't see the body, I seen the dress. It was dragging on the floor going around the corner. I immediately stopped what I was doing because I'm like, somebody's in this house and they're going to know where my sister is. So I tiptoe. Now I'm smart, I'm not stupid. And plus the floors made a lot of noise. We had hardwood floors. So I tiptoe to my room, and once I get to my door, I look like, okay, so when you walk through my door, it was kind of like a wall right here, so I had to like walk in and then look, because my bed was to the right in the corner. So when I walk into my room, I'm not gonna lie, my chest, it felt like my heart hit my ass. It felt like I was frozen in time. I see this tall figure, black wings, black dress, black hair. She was bent down over my sister. And it was like she was rubbing her head or something. I looked and I'm just standing there. I'm just watching. And so then I say, Grandma? She turns, looks at me, calm, smiles, and she vanishes right before my eyes. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. She vanishes right before my eyes. I immediately run to my sister and I start shaking her. I'm like, hey, you okay? And she's waking up. She's like, what in the world? Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, hey, you didn't see that? You didn't feel that? You didn't hear that? She was like, no, I was asleep. So I was like, I just seen Grandma. And she was like, what you mean you seen Grandma? I said, I seen Grandma standing over you. But this is the thing. I've been told, I think we were all told growing up, angels have white wings. Angels are, angelic. Us as people, we don't know what the spiritual realm really, really looks like. We don't really know what angels look like unless you've seen an angel. Now, I've seen regular angels too. I've seen warrior angels. I've seen Archangel Michael plenty of times. He is huge. He carries a sword. And on top of that, all the other angels I've seen, they glow. My grandmother didn't glow, but she was calm and she was peaceful, but she had on all black. And I was wondering for years, what did that mean? Now, when I first seen this, it took me a minute to say something to my mom, to my aunt, to anybody, because I was kind of scared, because my first thought was, did my grandma die and go to hell? So when I said something to my mama about it, my mama flipped out on me. She was like, why would you say that? You don't say nothing like that. But I'm like, Mama, she was black. Like, she had black wings. She had big black wings. And they were not like tattered or frayed. It was the prettiest black I have ever seen. Like the darkest, deepest black you've ever seen. And she looked so peaceful. And she smiled. But I don't know. You tell me, did I see an angel? Did I see a demon? What did I see? Like, I didn't feel no bad energy. What did I see?
Snacks in hand, the vibe is set, and once I start, don't eat too much, because you gotta stay fine, but come on, bestie, it's... Yeah! Hi, bestie boo, I missed you. It's time to take a break. Go get your snack, go get your gardening essentials, come on. I uploaded a new YouTube video compilation yesterday, so if you want to watch my stories in long form while you're working out, cooking, whatever, go to my YouTube channel and watch it there. Don't watch nobody else's because they're making bank off of me. So, for the sake of the story, let's call this girl Kayla, and let's call Kayla's mom Karen. You'll find out why. So this happened when Kayla was about 13 years old, right? Now, obviously, Kayla is... And Kayla's mom, whose name is Karen, is also... But Kayla's dad is black. Growing up, Kayla always loved to be at her dad's house. She did not want to be with her mom. She didn't, like, no shade, that's her mom, but, like, Growing up, she realized... Although her mom had a kid with a black man, her mom was racist as fuck. Like, she would say things about black people in front of Kayla, and she would expect Kayla to do the same. But, like, her dad is black, and she loves her dad, and she actually prefers being with her dad's side of the family. Now, after this situation, Kayla's dad ended up having custody of Kayla, but we're gonna find out why. So, when Kayla was about 13 years old, her and her mom went to the store. And at the time, her mom had a new boyfriend, and he's also... Anyway, so all three of them, they went to the store, right? They get to the store, and as they're like browsing around the store, in comes this gorgeous African black lady. And with Kayla's words, her body is T, face card on 10. I mean, the moment she walked in there, everybody's eyes laid on her, including Karen's boyfriend. And so Karen notices that. Mind you, Kayla is watching all of this, right? Karen notices his eyes going towards the girl, and she instantly catches an attitude. And she kind of whispers to him, "Since when do you like black bitches?" So the boyfriend was kind of like, What are you talking about? And she goes, "I saw you eyeing her." And he goes, "I wasn't eyeing her. I was looking at her. Everybody's looking at her. She's pretty." Now, he probably shouldn't have said that, because after he said that, Karen's mom caught an attitude for the entire rest of the time. But at the same time, she caught an attitude, but it's like she's low-key following the girl. And Kayla's noticing this because they're going to aisles with things that they don't need, but she started to notice that every aisle that they're going to is the aisle that the girl is in. The boyfriend also peeped this, right? And he's like, "Fuck this. Like, I'm not about to deal with this." And he walks out, leaving them both in the store. And she literally leaves Kayla behind to go chase after that man. So then Kayla had to chase after her. And while this is happening, they have to walk past the girl in order to do that. And so the girl happened to notice this is happening, but like, she's minding her business. She don't know what's going on, but she notices Kayla, and she says to Kayla, "Oh my God, you are so pretty." And that literally made the mom stop dead in her tracks. And she literally says to the girl, "Don't talk to my child." And Kayla's like, "Mom, she just said I was pretty." And Karen is like, "I don't give a fuck. Don't talk to my child." Looking for some kind of altercation. Now, Kayla notices this, and she takes her mom's hand and grabs her and goes outside with her. Leave all the groceries behind and everything. Because she already knows what's about to go down. She knows her mom is going to start causing trouble for no reason. The beautiful young lady is standing there very freaking confused. She's like, what the hell just happened? Anyway, fast forward, they're in the parking lot. Karen is now arguing with the boyfriend. And as they're arguing, this African lady in African attire comes up to them. And she goes straight for Karen and said to Karen, "Do you have a problem with my daughter?" The pretty, beautiful young lady then comes out and is like, "Mom, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine." And the mom is like, "No, I've noticed. When you walked in the store, she was staring at you." And basically, she noticed the entire thing. Come to find out, mom was already in the store, Pretty girl was in the car but was just walking in by herself. And mom saw the entire interaction between her and the boyfriend. And so Karen tells the lady, tell that black bitch to put some clothes on. Oh! And then proceed to mock her accent, telling her to go back to where she came from. At this point, Kayla is in tears because she's so freaking embarrassed, begging her mom to please stop. Like, let's just go home. The boyfriend at this point done left them behind. Karen is still acting tough, right? So it's a whole thing at this point. It's drama. The girl's mom ended up putting her hands on Karen because she started saying the N-word and all of that. But not only did she put her hands on Karen, she grabbed a handful of hair and walked away with it. You know where I'm going with this. Now, at the time, Kayla didn't know what happened. She didn't put the connections together until she found me on TikTok and learned about all of this stuff. Anyway, fast forward, that same night, Karen goes to sleep, wakes up at 3 a.m. screaming from her dreams. Kayla goes to her room. Mom, what's wrong? What happened? Karen is screaming, that bitch is outside. That bitch is outside. What bitch do you speak of, Mom? The lady, the mom, the African mom. Kayla looks outside. Nobody's outside. The lady's not outside. Karen is screaming, yes, she is. I saw her outside in my dream. Kayla's like, girl, you're not making any sense. Anyway, eventually they go back to sleep. Same day, Karen gets into a car accident, totals her car. Next day, the boyfriend breaks up with Karen. A week later, Karen is now sick. She's going to the doctor. Nobody's finding anything wrong with Karen, but she's sick. You can tell she's physically sick. Every week, she's getting sicker and sicker. As a coping mechanism, Karen starts drinking. About a month later, she seriously has a drinking problem. To the point where she started to actually get physical with Kayla, which prompted, the whole court thing. Because Kayla is actively telling her dad about everything that's happening. And she also told her dad about that whole thing at the store. And about a month after that, Dad files for court custody and stuff like that. And then almost a year later, Dad finally gets custody of Kayla. According to Kayla, she never recovered from that situation. When she was younger, she never put those things together. But as she got older, she started to learn more. Like I said, she found my page. She absolutely now knows that it has something to do with that mom. Till this day, unfortunately, Kayla's mom never recovered. She still has a drinking problem. She lost her house. She lost everything. Her parents disowned her. They had already kind of disowned her when she had a kid with a black guy. But when the drinking problem and everything else came in, unfortunately now, Karen is on the street somewhere as one of the crackheads. She literally lost it up there. They tried to get her help by her parents. They tried everything that they could and it just, no, nothing was working. She's still alive, yes, but she's not herself. Sometimes she goes to see her mom in the streets, and it's really sad because that's still her mom at the end of the day, but she's living a better life. She's much, much older now. She's an adult now, and so it's very unfortunate. But amen. Anyway, that's the story, y'all. Don't forget to let me know what you were eating. Don't forget to go to my YouTube channel and watch compilations there, nobody else's. Don't forget to get your ebook. You don't want to end up like Karen. But don't be like Karen either, because, FAFO. You fuck around, you find out. All right, I love you. Bye.
So when I was a little kid, we used to live in this house. Mind you, this house was an old ass house. They had it where, y'all know back in the days where you could reel the food upstairs, from the wall. Yes, we had that. And then also we had this scary ass basement. So I remember me and my siblings, we used to always be afraid to go down there. We never went down there by ourselves. Because for some odd reason, we always get this very odd, scary ass feeling going down there. And then also, I remember we went to go explore and we found a Chucky doll down there. And we found some other little dolls down there. And we were like, where the hell did this shit come from? So we used to play Truth or Dare. And we would dare each other to go down there in the basement, sit down there for a little bit, and then until you got really scared and then run upstairs. So bitch, I remember this one time my siblings sent me downstairs. So at this point, I'm feeling okay, but then it was I started to instantly feel really, really scared. Not only was it very dark down there, we used to call the basements dungeons because they used to have different rooms down there. And in the basement, we had one specific room. There was literally a chair that was nailed to the floor. And then there were these hooks that was on the side of the walls and shit. Mind you, we don't know where the hell that shit came from and why it was down there. So I went down there because they dared me to go down there and to see how long I could sit down there. So y'all, as I'm going down there, I'm starting to hear voices and shit. So at this point, I'm like, I'm like thinking like maybe I'm tweaking or whatever. So I'm hearing voices come from like different parts of the basement. So I ended up getting real terrified. I ran upstairs and left it at that. So then we ended up playing it again. So I go back downstairs. Next thing you know, I'm hearing footsteps. Like you can literally hear footsteps down there. And then as soon as I got down there and they heard me, it's like they got real quiet. So y'all, not only did we used to hear footsteps in that basement, we used to hear like voices coming from a room. So we ended up taking our grandma down there. So we investigate. My grandma found nothing down there. So then my grandma used to talk about how she used to hear voices coming from downstairs sometimes at nighttime. She said she would go down there, she would open up the basement door, and she said everything would literally get really quiet down there. Like y'all, we literally felt like there was people downstairs because you heard talking and shit moving around downstairs in the basement all the time. So mind y'all, we was living in this place for some years. So one day I go downstairs. Why the hell I see something run past really, really quick? So bitch, I run upstairs real quick. I go grab my grandma. She go down there, she look, she investigate, don't see shit. Y'all, why the hell the whole time we found out that there was like a little door that I guess it was supposed to be locked and it was never locked? Why the hell was there homeless people living in our basement? And we were living there the whole entire time and never knew that there was a way for them to get inside from this door.
So I used to work at hospice, and this was like one of my first like healthcare jobs when I had turned 18. And I used to work with this older lady, and I'm gonna call her Miss Edna. And she would see things at night. I would always do overnights. And she would like be seeing little things in the corner, and she would be saying how she wasn't ready to go, and she wasn't ready to go, and she was always afraid. And this woman had dementia, and I noticed the more she was declining, the more racist and like afraid and depressed that she was getting. And I don't know if that's the type of life that she lived like before the dementia or whatever, but she became very racist. And I remember one night, I never forget, it was really like cold outside, and I remember how she was saying she was cold, and I came in and I gave her the blanket, and then she was like, why would you take the blanket off of me? So I go back in there and I was like, Miss Edna, I ain't take no blanket off you, baby. I just put it up in there. So the blanket was on the floor. I picked the blanket up. I put the blanket back on the bed. I'm like, Miss Edna, girl, like, let me tuck you back in. You know what I'm saying? And I went back out. I think I was washing her dishes or making her a meal. I was doing something in the kitchen. So I was hearing her have a conversation, and I'm like, she's having a whole full-blown conversation, but she was getting like very agitated and like, what are you doing, nigger? Like, leave me alone. Like, leave me alone. And I was like, are you okay, honey? So y'all, kid you not, I look over to the window and it's handprints on the window. Mind you, I said it was cold. So I'm like, y'all, like, what is actually going on? Now, this wasn't like my first time that I had encountered something creepy, but this was the first time where I had felt like it was something else in the house with us. So I'm like asking her now, like, who you in here talking to? Like, what's going on? And she was like, the man in the corner won't leave me alone. And I'm like, what man are you talking about in the corner? And she like, Bernard. And I'm like, it's okay, you know, Bernard, leave her alone. I'm like talking to the wall, like, Bernard, leave Miss Edna alone so she can lay down. You know, she's supposed to be asleep. It's late. So I calm her down, I get her back situated, give her a little bit of water, and I go back in the kitchen doing what I was finna do. And I hear her arguing back and forth. I'm talking about hard R's, leave me alone, I'm scared. She's screaming my name. Y'all, I kid y'all not. When I went back in there, that whole room was tore up. Now Miss Edna barely could walk. Like, she literally needed assistance, y'all. When I say that room was tore up, when I say I just started like praying. I just started praying over the house. Whoever's in here, Bernard, you got to get your ass the fuck up out of here while I'm up in here. Y'all, I kid y'all not. I think that lady had did something to a little boy or a man, or she or her family was involved into something during slavery times. And I think something happened to that boy and he was haunting her spirit, y'all. I will never forget the handprints on the window, and I will never forget them screams that she had. And I never had told anybody this story, because when I say I have been so creeped out, I'm still creeped out to this day. And Miss Edna ended up passing about a month after that, and it was really sad because she didn't want to go. She was so afraid to go, and it was just one of the scariest things that I had ever seen, y'all. But I'm telling y'all, Bernard was in that room, and that shit was crazy.
There are demons called provoking spirits, and what they do is they get their power from the reactions that you give them. Their goal is to stir up strife, confusion, anger, rage, whatever to get you to react. Meaning they will poke and prod you all day. They will say things, they will do things, little things like, take the parking spot before you can get it. Bump into you without saying excuse me. Just little things that add up that kind of get you to react, man. And their goal is to get you out of character, get you to crash out, and essentially keep you distracted. So when you are around provoking spirits, man, they come in the form of co-workers, especially co-workers. Co-workers, friends, family. We all got that one cousin, that one uncle, whoever that just it don't matter what we do, man. They always have an issue with us. Don't matter what you do. And that's how you know you're dealing with a provoking spirit, dog. Like, your aura, your happiness, your success, they always have something to say. Anybody can do that. You think you better than us. You ain't nobody just trying to get some attention. Dog, don't give in. Don't give in. The way you deal with a demon like that, man, is to remain unbothered. You being unbothered will frustrate the hell out of them, dog. It will frustrate the hell out of them. Continue to stay in God. Ignore them. Be happy. Be truthful. Stay in God. And they're going to find it easier to